This is Alice Rogers, Membership and Awards Specialist at the American Volleyball Coaches Association. This recruiting tip is brought to you by the Carolina Region, an affiliate partner of the AVCA.
This week's recruiting tip features highlights from the 2022 AVCA and USAV Region Partners Men's College Recruiting Panel. Join us live on Wednesday, April 19th, 2023 at 7 p.m. Eastern for this year's panel, featuring the latest advice from men's college volleyball coaches. Prospective men's student athletes, their parents, club, and high school coaches are all invited to attend. Can't attend live on April 19th? All registrants will receive a link to the recording. Register today at avca.org/USAV menspanel.html.
To be eligible coming out of high school, you need to have over a 2.0 GPA and have over an 18 ACT. The equivalent for an SAT, I think, is closer to 960. Every university has different requirements to get in, so some might have higher GPA requirements, but you have to go through the NAI, play NAI, which is the NAI Eligibility Center.
It really depends and varies per institution. A lot of coaches and programs and schools like to go for students that have higher GPAs, because the higher the GPA you have coming out of high school, the higher the GPA, you tend to get more academic aid, and that's called the merit scholarship. Obviously, you can have a great senior year, but definitely take those courses, the tougher courses as well, throughout your senior year, because then that will help prepare you for the college academic setting.
For Division I, II, just off the bat, you have a 2.2 in your core courses. So to be NCAA eligible, that is math, science, English, those core courses, weighted, unweighted, it has to be in the 16 core courses.
In the NAI, there's 8.5 full ride scholarships that are available. All of the kids in our roster right now receive some sort of athletic money, which is pretty nice. Some can receive up to a full ride, which means covering all of tuition. Some get a lot less than that. It really just depends. Every university kind of has a different scholarship model.
Everybody at the Division III level is a walk-on with zero athletic scholarship. We like to carry between 18 and 21 for our roster. Everybody is a preferred walk-on. The admissions counselors really work with the family specifically. So Division III coaches are not allowed to be hands-on with financial aid. We really are recruiting the student athletes based upon their academics and based upon the athletics. And then we tend to assist the admissions counselors. So then the admissions counselors are then the bridge between financial aid and the family.
Men's Division I, II volleyball gets 4.5 scholarships, and each roster varies from 18 to, I'm going to say 25, 26. And a lot of those young men are without scholarship. And that does not mean that they are not a starter or someone preferred. It just means we work hand in hand with admissions to get academic and grant, or academic package and athletic scholarship. It just varies. And we advise student athletes to not be offended if your athletic package says grant and aid, because if they are able to give you $30,000 of academic and grant, I'd say take it, because more than likely I can't do that. Full rides are just non-existent at the Division I, II level.
Almost everyone can. That depends on the university. We at William Penn actually do not do that. So we kind of modify it in a way that we give more athletic to compensate for the lack of academic that we give. There's a couple universities that we play like in our conference that actually do the opposite, that they give huge academic and then pile a little bit of athletic on top of it. You're going to find a majority of NAI schools can stack the scholarships and get you the best possible deal that you can.
Yes, you can combine athletic and academic. First, identify that. do I qualify in state? And if you're coming from out of state, that's a little bit different. So you need to research each individual institution. And is that in your price range? Is that something you're willing to pay?
We can talk to student athletes pretty much at any time throughout the tournament. We talk to parents. We can text and email and talk at any point. And then especially at tournaments, we can talk. So if you see another coach talking to another kid and you're like, that's illegal. If he's an NAI school, it's allowed.
I like to think of it as a relationship. So we want to work to establish a relationship to see if it's going to be a match with the coach, the student athlete, and then the family. Like, we're not just recruiting the student athlete, we're recruiting your entire family as well, because we want the family support, coming to matches, etc. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You're really never too early in the recruiting process. We're allowed to electronically communicate with prospects the moment they start their first day of freshman year of high school. But then we're not able to do off-campus communication and conversation in person until their junior year. But we can host unofficial visits all the time, freshman year through senior year.
We can't talk to you in person until June 15th, going into your junior year of high school. Division II schools at the Division I, II level can converse with parents. We do try to keep it fairly short, but obviously we can sit and chat, but we cannot talk to the student athlete till the end of the tournament. Division I cannot speak to you at all until the end of the tournament day. Email is a great initial starter. I'm going to say right now, get short, sweet, to the point. Be a little personable, obviously know the information about the institution. It's okay to have a form letter, but let's just make sure we're proofreading that.
Through COVID in the last couple of years, we use video services, we watch the kids, and then what we automatically do is we go onto their Instagram and their Twitter, and we give them a follow through our program. And then from there, it helps give a feel for like what type of a person the student athlete might be. And then sometimes, and the majority of the time now, we're just direct messaging through Instagram. It's been very efficient to get a hold of student athletes and prospects. And then we work through getting the phone number, phone calls.
As long as it's not on Snapchat, I'm good. And so, yeah, texts are fine. Emails are fine. I usually prefer to just text right off the bat. So we do send emails, but not long into the email, we'll just say, hey, just shoot me your number and we'll just text. We try to just kind of call kids every now and then on the phone. I know they don't like that always, but I think a 3-minute phone call, it goes a long way sometimes.
Is it better to contact a head coach or an assistant coach? Both. You can contact, if your initial email goes out to both coaches, or a grad assistant and the head coach.
Just know that the head coach is sometimes inundated with administrative roles, player development, player engagement. And that's why I say the persistence is key. I will say some of the best kids that I have in my program are the ones that showed a little persistence and didn't take it personally. Of like, hey, I know you're busy. Here's my update. I'd love to talk to you if you're free next week. There's always going to be someone in contact with you. So it doesn't hurt to hit everybody on staff.
It depends on recruiting budgets, on what coaches can and cannot do, or where they might have flown to earlier within the year. But in theory, if your competition is going to be at these events, then you have to be there as well.
I will say we go to as much as we can. For us, we have to be visible. We see new kids all the time.
Anytime you're at a tournament like that or anything really big like JO Nationals, I mean, you're really trying to find as many kids as you can, or make the most of your time, because there's so much going on.
The first question I'm going to ask you is, how do you deal with distance? I just think if you're okay with distance and the student athlete, that's a question as parents that you need to ask your children. Do you want to come home for dinner? Is an hour or 2 hours okay, where you can come home maybe on a weekend, which is very few and far between, or a flight?
We're located in Iowa, and there are no boys like high school volleyball in Iowa, but also at the club level, it's very, very small. So we can't recruit in our backyard. It's pretty much impossible. And we can't even recruit like in other people's backyards either. It's tougher. So you might be in a position where like you can't recruit local, student athletes. We were trying to find student athletes in states that didn't offer men's volleyball. So we went to Texas, and we went out to the Pacific Northwest. We went to places like that where we figured they had to leave the state. Why not come to Iowa?
We want to recruit well in our backyard first, and then we have no problem recruiting nationally and internationally. It really depends and varies, but we also want the best talent. So don't really care where you come from, as long as you're a great fit.
I should be able to Google your name and find some kind of film. NCSA link, field level, be recruited. The free version is YouTube. If I can find you on YouTube and it has what grade you're in, what number you're wearing, here's my contact info, coaches will find you. And I think sometimes parents think they need to have these recruiting services just to find an opportunity to play collegiately, and that's not the case. Because again, if your family does not have that kind of disposable income, that makes it problematic to, say, hey, I have to do this and feel pressured. No, YouTube, find a link, send it out, make sure you are highlighted, because there has definitely been moments in student athlete videos where their teammate is doing exceptionally well and it overshadows their performance. And then now I'm wondering, who's that kid and not the kid who sent me the video.
What type of level could this prospect play at? If they are going to be able to play at a Division I, II, I want that player. If they're going to play at a top NAI, I want that player as well. But if I feel that the players are not better than my current rostered athletes, then we're going to take a pass, because our job as coaches is to find players that are better than our current roster.
Athleticism, it varies from position to position. Finding a program fit, not necessarily the upper echelon of athlete. It's culture is everything, and each institution has their own version of success based off of what we're looking for.
We obviously have certain things physically we look for. We just make sure that it's a good fit, so we do everything we possibly can to talk through what is important to us and what makes sense to us, and where you fall. Of course, we're looking for certain things, certain size, maybe for certain positions or certain abilities. But yeah, we really hammer home the fit in terms of the university.
Like height and athleticism are two things that you can't really teach. And we want to be able to teach systems and not necessarily skill. We're hoping that the clubs in high schools can help train the skill sets. Even if you just throw a clip of you peppering, we can see that right away just on pepper. We just can't really see your block moves. The things that we can't see on video are, what type of teammate are you? How are you talking to your parents? What do you do when the coach pulls you? I want to know what type of character that the prospect is.
Typically, coaches, we can tell in the first 30 seconds if we're going to watch the whole video or not. Good music too. I will watch your whole video if the music is good. Class size, school size, day-to-day life. What is practice like? Do I have to redshirt? That's a question that a lot of student athletes ask. Are student services, academic services for tutors, scheduling, advisors? What if I get injured? Do I see a doctor here? Do I get referred to a doctor at home? Who pays for it? What happens? Do I keep my scholarship if I do have scholarship money? What happens if I get sick? Obviously, as parents, you're not there. You want to make sure someone's taking care of your child.
You want to ask hard questions, find out, how the team interacts, what are the, things that they do, all those things, like just get to know in the nitty gritty of like what those 15 or 20 guys are like, because that's the most important thing. Obviously coaching is important. You want to know what it's like, as a coaching style and stuff like that. But I think finding out about the team itself, the players, is really important. So asking those questions is really big.
We've already kind of done our research. We've had phone calls, we've been texting, we kind of have that bond and that relationship. So asking the players what they do on a weekend, what do they do throughout the day? What does their daily structure look like when you're in fall season, our non-traditional season, versus what does it look like when you're in season? Ask questions relating to the culture of practice. Don't be afraid to ask questions about the coaches' personal lives as well. I think that's important to know what type of person you're essentially going to have be somewhat responsible for your child when they're on their campus.
Make sure your son comes in with questions. I think that's a good gesture of they did some research.
think the biggest thing would be getting away from the stigma of Division 1 or 2 or 3 NAI, finding big school, small school, close to home, far away, culture.
Being open to reaching out to different people and asking questions and just kind of finding out what works for you and your family and your son. That's the best way to do it, because there's a lot out there, a lot of options, a lot of levels. I think there's things you probably don't even know that exist. So just being curious and willing to put yourself out there is important.
Take time, make the pros and cons list. It's very important because it is a major decision, but don't feel stressed. The coaches are wanting to help. So please reach out. Also parents, we like to invite parents to give a phone call as well. We like to do the initial contact with the prospect themselves. And then we're happy to answer any questions with parents and family. So if you don't know the answer to something, just ask.
Find a home, find a fit. That's what I'll say. I know everyone's dream is potentially maybe play Division 1, 2 volleyball, but as we've seen right here, there's good volleyball at all levels. And find the level that's best fit for you, and don't let anyone necessarily crush your dream.
Don't forget, register for the 2023 Men's College Coaches Recruiting Panel. Visit avca.org/USAV Men's Panel.html for the registration link.
And that's your recruiting tip of the week. Thanks for your membership in the Carolina region.